Hey guys, this is going to be a long one, and I want to go through a full breaking change demo in a system where we have a provider and then we have a consumer in a PactJs setup, and then we even have a UI consumer. So these two consumers, the way they're interacting with the provider service are similar. One of them is using bi-directional, so this React UI consumer is using bi-directional contract testing, and then the regular consumer is doing traditional consumer-driven contract testing. All these repos have full tests in every level, unit, we have component, we have E2E everywhere, and we're gonna do a breaking change and see how our normal tests are fine, but we're gonna get blocked by Pact. Side note, Pact, when you make these breaking changes, they encourage you to make them backward compatible so you can get those changes into master and then deprecate the older ones later. But here's my alternative, like a midway in between, not as restrictive, and I'm just showing it. Let me know what you think. I mean, I think this can work pretty well in the real world. Anyway, so the change I want to make is we have this movie route, which is singular. It's for delete and get. It's very simple, guys. I just want to make the movie route into movies because that's annoying me. And you can imagine how badly this will break things. So I'll just Control F and search for these things. Let's see. So we have some in this file. We can just replace those. That's safe. So delete, get, those are the only ones. Um, we have a Makun file. Of course, this is mapping the network, so this will have to get replaced too at the provider. Okay. We'll see. We have a knock test right now. Of course, because of the changes, this is going to fail. So we'll replace those two. So movie will get replaced by movies. And then we'll have to replace the actual file right here. Consumer TS, like this is the one that's making the network call, so that movie becomes movies. And the pack test, this one is also getting replaced. Okay, by the way, I just realized I'm at the consumer repo, but this is going, all these changes are going to be the same, like similar. So let's just do the same change at the provider repo. And I think I can just push that consumer, right? So if I made those changes, I can just push this one. We'll call it experiment route to movies. Let's just say 2 because I kind of did like a trial before this. So let's do 2 as that branch. The rule is that you have to have a matching branch name with these breaking changes. So as the provider, you're introducing breaking changes, you have to have like everybody has to communicate and have a branch ready to go for this one. Otherwise, provider cannot merge anything. So we'll do this here too. Okay, now we go back to the provider. I'll just put this aside right here. So end-to-end test is replacing movie to movies, and then the helper commands, we're doing that. Okay, the main thing that changes is the express route. So movie becomes movies. That one's okay, this one's okay, this is a comment, but that's okay. I'm not going to change OpenAPI manually, that comes from the code. Okay, so, but the OpenAPI generator will change. Okay, so we changed everything mostly. So let's see, we have all those changes. We'll just see if the tests are working and stuff. So now the pack tests are not going to work, and we'll show why they're not working also. But like right now, the end-to-end tests are going to be no problem because we update the end-to-end tests are fine, but the schema test is failed, right? So this means, hey, you can make any changes you want to your code. Your end-to-end test will be fine, but you haven't updated your schema, right? So this is an indication, hey, you're going to goof things up a little bit, okay? Another check that we have at the provider, and I'll just open a second tab. Oh, I think I closed that one accidentally. Okay, let's close this one. Another check that we have is Optic. So that one is a schema verification tool. So we'll just say Optic diff. So this compares your schema before and after. So right now, of course, no schema change, right? This happens automatically in the CI. Also, I can do this locally, but number one now to get that end-to-end test to work with schema tests, I have to update my schema, and that is uh, generate OpenAPI. So all my OpenAPI is generated from Zod, but the Zod extension for OpenAPI, and this basically just updates these two files, OpenAPI JSON and YAML accordingly. So movie becomes movies, and the second one is YAML version, and that movie becomes movies. So that's perfectly fine, right? So if we run open local, so if we run this, now E2E will work, but also those schema tests that we piggyback onto the E2E are also going to work. So I have updated my schema, right? I've updated my test, I've updated my server, all these are working. My schema tests are passing, but I have zero clue. Am I breaking things for other people? So now let's try to address that. And that's where Optic comes in. So not only it will do Optic, not only will do a schema validation that it's valid OpenAPI spec, it will compare the version of your schema on this branch to what's on main. If there are changes, it's going to complain saying, hey, you're going to break other people, right? Because you removed the movie from get, you removed it from delete, and then you added new routes. This is going to be breaking changes. So you have to do something about this, right? So what we have to do is, well, when you have breaking changes open in your OpenAPI schema, not only you have to communicate with people, hey, this breaking change is coming, but also you have to update the semantic version of your OpenAPI schema. So that one is right here in this file called Optic, the OpenAPI generator. So this is a whole tool that comes with Zod-to-OpenAPI. It basically builds your OpenAPI spec. The part about the version is all the way in the bottom, right? So it gives you the OpenAPI version, title, all that. So we have to change it, right? That's it. And after that, Optic should start passing, hopefully. Well, we'll see how this goes on. Maybe it will pass in here. Just save. Okay, good. Now we can pass. So experiment. Okay, like that. We'll push. So, oh, we'll just demo until I'm done. Test provider. So this will run the Pact test, and this will fail because this is a breaking change, and there is no matching branch with the same breaking change at our other consumer. So this will totally block us. Right? If we ran the consumer tests, and since nobody accommodated for these changes yet, like I didn't make any pushes over at the other side, at the consumer, nobody knows about these, right? Because the changes are still here. It's going to fail. Now, what we'll do first is we go to the provider, okay, and then we'll open an API. There is already one PR that I had previously opened, right? So we can just switch to that instead of waiting. So I can also switch to that PR that's already open, and then I'll basically just check that out everywhere. Seal, same changes, guys. Everything the same. Slash, and then seal. Okay. So just to go over the changes, the only main thing I do is this checkbox that introduces certain environment variables so that the Pact tests only execute against the matching branch. So it will only execute against the consumer matching branch, which we already have a PR there, which I'll show. So let's just go and change this real quick. So movie became movies. We can change over at the E2E, at the helper of the E2E, and then OpenAPI generator we changed, right? And then we updated the version. So Optic is also working, and the OpenAPI JSON file got automatically updated in CI. We can also update it locally, but it always gets updated if there's a change in the file. YAML, same thing for the YAML version of that. We updated the route, right? You can see such a change is very easy for our side, the provider side, but it absolutely breaks everything for our consumers. So that's what we're trying to do. Like we're trying to make sure integration doesn't break in the future in upper deployments. And we can look at the test. So let's, like, we expect all the E2E, we expect the Optic check that all to pass. Right? So if you look at Optic diff, since hey, this get route got removed, the delete got removed, this other one get got added, delete got added, but since the version changed, everything's fine. These breaking changes are fine. You're just supposed to communicate with your friends. That's what Optic is saying. What Pact is doing is a lot more comprehensive than that. So in this pack test, you see you have setting this environment variable, set breaking change, because we just check that checkbox. As soon as we check that, it's going to run the test with, I output some values here, so the provider name, all that, right? Pack breaking change is my environment variable that's set to true. And when that happens, right, it will only check, include main and deployed. No, it will not include checks against any pacts on main or in both the deployments. It will only check against the matching branch. So what this says, hey, you're making a breaking change, okay, fine. But unless you have a matching PR at your consumer with the same branch name, so like we did here, this is not going to work. That's the only way it works. So it ensures that everyone's moving together and they know about the breaking change. So it goes one level beyond something like Optic, where it's just doing the schema breaking and you have to communicate. This will make everyone have that breaking change PR. Otherwise, no one can merge anything. So this is everyone doing it together. Of course, this is all an alternative to uh, temporary uh, supporting the old interview and then deprecating later. But I believe this way is lot less friction. Okay, so now let's look at the consumer PR, the same title. Let's see, consumer. Okay, so this one will keep failing because what it's doing is it's also checking, right? Like its contract has got merged, right? And that they got passing because it's only checking um, like the version of the branch on the other side. Uh, that one's passing, but it's realizing, hey, if these changes go to main, they will break stuff. So this will sit here. You won't be able to do any merges at your consumers until the approved breaking change is merged to main, right? And this one's good to go. So right now we can merge this. Um, I'm thinking if I should do the bi-directional too, but maybe we do this right after. So I'll merge provider breaking change got in. It will also run on main with that breaking change consideration. and it's going to re-record, it's going to publish, and it's going to re-record things. And for how all this is working, you can read the README here, you can read my blog post on there too. I'm pretty opinionated about how this can work pretty well. Okay, so now that that guy is running on main, we just need to make sure that breaking change gets recorded on the main deployment. So let's just make sure it runs. See, so it's not up here. Set pact breaking change based on merge PR description. So this is actually quite smart. If you look at the YAML, it looks at whatever got merged. It looks at whatever got merged PR description. And if it's there, it sets this environment variable. And if that is set, then it's going to run test a certain way. Right? And then we're going to see all the output here. So it will still say pact breaking change true. And the matching branch, we'll see it all the way at the end, right? Certain things will fail, right? But that's fine. I know we're breaking. This is a breaking change, so chill out, right? Pact prediction failed, right? And then it will fail, but you'll see it's a breaking change and will remain. That's fine, guys. Chill out. Let me get my breaking change in. Other than like this is an alternative to the long way of supporting both things at once and then deprecating later. That's like basically fix it later, right? This is the alternative. This is my way. I'm pretty opinionated about this. And CDPR passing, all this good, right? And over at the consumer, all we have to do is rerun. And that's my git alias for rerun without comments. Just wait for that guy. And I believe that will be fine. But while that's cooking, we will do the bi-directional version. So with bi-directional contract testing, all that's needed is this OpenAPI spec from the provider. And we have the same exact test at the consumer side. Yeah. And these tests actually just execute against the OpenAPI spec, and Pact is the only tool that offers this. So we'll just do our replacement, the same thing. Okay. So there is no restricting this certain consumer in the bi-directional. We really cannot stop the provider from making changes, right? And that's the way of things. The provider only updates to main, publishes to main. They just ensure that their OpenAPI spec is fine. This guy always tests against the published, verified OpenAPI spec on main, right? So if provider is making a breaking change, you will have to know about this after they do that, right? And this basically all our PRs will start failing here, right? Um, so we're making this change, right? So like if we run the test right now here, right? Test consumer, if we run this, since the bidirectional got published, it's on main on the provider side. This will go bonkers, so it won't work. It will work against what it is, but if we change it, I guess that will have to maybe the OpenAPI didn't get published yet. We'll see. Anyway, let's do this modification. So intercept here, and the video is getting a little long right now. So this is going to be basically the same breaking changes, and we'll push that one. All I want to show is actually the other consumer working, right? So as soon as we ran this guy, we got merged the main, then we can merge the TR from the consumer that's accommodating to those breaking changes, right? So chicken egg situation resolved this way. And I mean, you can imagine the same kind of flow happening over at the bi-directional consumer, same deal. So this is my way of introducing breaking changes in Pact provider consumer, either classical or bi-directional flow. We saw how we can independently make breaking changes and everything may look fine at our provider. But until We collaborate with some consumers, and they also have TRs for this breaking change. We can't get anything in, but also we kind of make it a little easier or possible to merge things into main so that everyone's happy at the end. Right? So this was the demo of making changes in my understanding of how it can work. It's like I'm midway through. I talked all about this in this blog post, handling pack breaking changes dynamically in CI/CD, and you can see it. Look at the code and the README and all that. Looks like it's working. That's all. Thanks for watching.